Good morning. I'm Jean Ferlin, a member of Sunny's pastoral care team. We look to support those going through any type of personal crisis, support friends and family involved in caregiving, comfort those who are grieving, keep in contact with members unable to attend church due to illness or disability. We are willing to sit with those in need of a listening ear. It's helpful to share a problem, and it's important to know we have been heard. Sharing a concern with another who listens without judgment or advice can be a step toward peace of mind. So, should you have a need, reach out to a member of the pastoral care team. If you have questions, contact Reverend Jim or a member of the team. You can submit a joy or sorrow on Sunnyhill's website or by filling out a form in the foyer. Also, we are interested in your ideas about activities and events that we would hold here at Sunnyhill that would help during this extremely challenging times. If you have an idea you'd like to share, please complete one of the forms in the entranceway. It is maybe on the back of one of our joys and sorrow sheets. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." First, a sorrow from Leanna Hergenredder. She says, yesterday, 2/21, we took our senior cat, Church, to the emergency vet for a urinary blockage. Unfortunately, we had to help him cross the Rainbow Bridge as his kidneys were failing. Please send loving thoughts and prayers for our family, and especially our daughter Luna. To the Hergenredder family, we hold you in our hearts. And a joy and a sorrow from Richard Geiger. The sorrow is, my eye doctor reported that the interocular pressure in my eyes had suddenly and dangerously elevated. His joy is that he made final arrangements to have my body composted, the least polluting form of body disposal. To Richard Geiger, we hold you in our hearts. And a sorrow from Vivian Sibyl. She says, my dad has begun chemo for stage 4 metastatic lung cancer, but the progress is not good. For Vivian, her father, and family, we hold you in our hearts. And a joy from Shelley Chandok. My sons, Vic and Rob, are here to celebrate my 87th birthday. Woo-hoo! And if you would like a 3D printed whistle to notify the presence of ice, see Shelley. To Shelley and her family, we hold you in our hearts. As we listen to our musical meditation, if you feel moved to do so, come forward, light a candle, place it in the sand, and return to your seat. Comfort me.
The following prayer was written by a friend and colleague, Zebulon Green. Spirit of mischief, we call on you to bless our trouble. When the state and the machine point their water cannons at us, blast us with freezing water that tears into our skin and forces us to the ground. We ask that you bless the spark of rage inside of us. Bless us and keep us burning. Don't let their deluge extinguish our fire. Burn in us brighter and more furious. Let us burn so bright that their downpour turns to steam. Their weapons are nothing but vapor before the people. And as we win, let that vapor condensate into a gentle drizzle. That rain will wash away their grime, their crap, and their stink that clings to us. Let us grab each other and dance wildly in the streets of what remains, jumping in the puddles of their failure that bring us to heal. Feel that fresh water for the first time, free. Until then, cling to each other, sing over their war machines, laugh and spin with desperation and reckless abandon. On a flight to infinity and another chance to transform, we are always going to be drafted. You are far more beautiful and powerful than they think. Welcome to Punk Theology, the Straight Edge edition. In July of 2024, friend and fellow Unitarian Universalist James Clark and I attended Camp Punksylvania, an annual 3-day punk rock festival held on a campground near the Poconos. This was the most wonderful come-as-you-are time of the year for many of the festivals. A time to celebrate their authentic, tatted-up, patch-clad, spikes and safety pins wearing, dyed spiked hair donning, nonconformist selves without judgment. A time to see bands with names like Working Class Stiffs, The Karens, The What Nows, and Non-Compliance. It was a time to be with their tribe, a sacred time. The word punk dates back to the 50s. It was originally another term. Through the centuries, its definition evolved to mean one who was non-conforming, undignified, and worthless. It was a pejorative. It would evolve again in the 1970s as an affirmation instead of an accusation. Punk music emerged in the mid-70s as a loud, varnished, irreverent genre and culture. It was driven by Patti Smith, the Velvet Underground, and the Ramones in New York City. Michigan gave us Iggy Pop and the Stooges. Great Britain gave us The Clash and the Sex Pistols. And California gave us The Runaways, Social Distortion, The Dead Kennedys, Black Flag, and Bad Religion. It was a reaction to the damage left in the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the Nixon administration. It was a reaction to the worker strikes and the oppressive politics of Margaret Thatcher. For some, it was simply an escape from boredom. The hippies of the 1960s had many things in common with the punks of the 70s. Establishment, non-conforming in appearance, outcasts, and ostracized by much of society. Both groups also embraced authenticity, community, a DIY approach, and were at times fueled by drugs. Punks, however, took rebellion to a new aggressive level, embracing an ethos of anger, chaos, and anarchy over the hippie ethos of peace, love, and harmony. Some punk groups sang about nihilism, cynicism, alienation, and even self-destruction, while other groups sang about politics, anti-racism, anti-oppression, and socioeconomic issues. In all, punk music embodied DIY rebellion and liberation. Mick Jones of The Clash stated, "I came into the punk scene because punk stayed with you. It taught you something. A lot of the other music of the time left you as it found you." The other music of which he was referring was the arena rock bands. Jones and other punk rockers like Joey Ramone branded bands like Boston, Journey, REO Speedwagon, and Foreigner as corporate rock bands. Bands that had sacrificed authenticity for commercial success. Seeing the music as being contrived and overpolished, those in the punk scene believed that the pursuit of perfection in music drained it of its honesty. Punks made similar accusations towards disco, fueled by the likes of the Bee Gees, Gloria Gaynor, and KC and the Sunshine Band. The disco scene, however, was in many ways a liberation movement in its own right, for the Black, Hispanic, and LGBTQ communities, providing community and an escape from social oppression. Joy is a major component of disco, and joy in the face of struggle is rebellion. The spirit of punk that emerged 10 years later in the form of a rock subgenre called grunge, a sound defined by bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam, was born out of the gray, rain-soaked Pacific Northwest. I see grunge as punk's reflective, melancholy, philosophical, commercially successful, but just as disillusioned younger brother. It also had its own fashion, with long hair and secondhand flannel shirts instead of the mohawks and leather. Kurt Cobain, the frontman of Nirvana, said, "Punk is musical freedom, doing and playing what you want." In Webster's terms, Nirvana means freedom from pain, suffering in the external world. That's pretty close to my definition of punk rock. Made from splintered, weathered, unpainted wood planks and wood, be seen as a kind of altar upon which the sacrifices, bottles, and cigarette butts are laid, and drops of beer, sweat, and maybe a little bit of blood are spilled. Could a hymn consist of 3 chords played on a guitar with only 2 strings plugged into a blown-out speaker? Can a spark of the divine emerge out of the chaos? A colleague of mine, John Mark, started a scene with drone, altar punk. One day, while listening to Green Day, Bad Religion, and Flogging Molly, they realized that there was something pointedly religious about the music. John Mark said, "My interest really comes from both the religious nature I see and feel in it and the liberative nature of the initial and various subgenres that still exist today." This insight was combined with Ron's personal crusade of reclaiming discourse around faith and spirituality from the of far-right nationalism. John Mark and Ron defined punk theology as a theology of liberation, critical of both itself the institutions it rallies against. Sacraments and ritual are found in sharing the Eucharist, using a bagel and a beer, a shot of your favorite whiskey. This monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, echoes a similar sentiment in his book, Living Buddha, Living Christ, when he states, "Suppose we do not celebrate a Eucharist in a church, but sit together in the open air to share our bread, eating it mindfully and gratefully, aware of the marvelous nature of the bread." Another writer named Kuliak states that punk is the emergence of the people, objects, and virtues that have been rejected and marginalized, coming out of from the margins and asserting their inherent value and importance, and I dare say, sacredness. Punk spirituality is what emerges when what has always been done does not work anymore. Punk is rebellion. Rebellion was the heart of the ministry of Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus was born into an peasant class, a class that had experience of injustice and had a tradition of religious social protest. The Bible tells the story of the cleansing of the temple, when Jesus flipped tables and used a whip to protest the corruption, exploitation, and greed of merchants and religious leaders who turned a sacred house of prayer into a profitable den of thieves. This act of righteous anger protected the poor from predatory practices and upheld the sanctity of God's house. Author Scotty McClendon states that Jesus, like many punk rock singers, had charisma and attracted followers. McClendon continues, he was a movement initiator who described a way out of the oppressive and exploitative domination system of his day, a way out that appealed especially to the marginalized, but likewise to some who were wealthy. And speaking of wealth, the Buddha, unlike Jesus, was born into royalty. Like Jesus, rebellion was also at the heart of his ministry. Born a prince, Siddhartha Gautama rebelled against his father and his sheltered upbringing to embrace a life of poverty and deprivation. He embraced suffering to find an end to human suffering. And after his enlightenment, the Buddha offered his teachings of the Dharma to everyone. This egalitarian approach challenged the caste system, the religious social hierarchy that divided people into groups based on status, occupation, and social interaction. The real rebellion that the Dharma offered, however, was an internal one. The Dharma's Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path are instructions on how to instigate a revolution inside oneself by staging an uprising against the ego's proneness to craving and attachment. It's about liberating oneself from the cycle of samsara. Jesus and the Buddha were punk. Their examples have also influenced future punks of the cloth. On June 11th, 1963, a Buddhist monk named Thich Quang Duc sat down in the middle of a busy intersection in Saigon. While praying, a fellow monk poured an entire 5-gallon can of gasoline all over him. At the end of his prayer, the monk lit a match, engulfing himself in flames. This extreme act, known as self-immolation, was done in protest against the persecution of Buddhists by the South Vietnamese government. This visceral image of a calm human torch, taken by Associated Press photographer Malcolm Brown, shook President John F. Kennedy so greatly that he withdrew American support to the South Vietnamese government. Writer Edward Tick states that Quang Duc was defending Buddhism in the most commanding way he could, willingly suffering and dying so others would see his community's pain. He was using his body as a final, unignorable protest tool. It has gone on to become one of history's most iconic images of resistance, so much so that the punk-inspired band Rage Against the Machine used the image on the cover of their debut album. On January 21st, 2025, America witnessed a masterclass in punk theology. Throwing off the polite platitudes usually reserved for the National Cathedral, Bishop Buddy bravely spoke truth to power when she looked up in the eye and pleaded for mercy for LGBTQ plus children and immigrants who fear for their lives due to his new executive orders. She used the pulpit to create a crisis of conscience. When an apology was demanded of her, she responded with a calm, non-compliant no. Bishop Buddy is punk. It's fitting that Bishop Buddy will deliver the Ware Lecture at this year's UUA General Assembly. Like the word punk, the word Unitarian was also once a pejorative, used by the Trinitarian faiths to describe our denomination, and was also eventually embraced as an affirmation. Our Unitarian Universalist heritage has embodied a punk ethos since 325 CE. If the Council of Nicaea was the corporate record label trying to force everyone into a single polished sound, the early anti-Trinitarians were the underground garage band refusing to sign the contract. Before and after the Reformation, Unitarian leaders and followers were willing to set their reputations and sometimes their lives on fire, rather than play to the tune the Catholics and the Calvinists demanded. We have always been deemed religious heretics. We were ostracized from Christian councils and ministers in the 19th and 20th centuries. We had been barred from joining local ministerial associations. Unitarian Universalism continues with its own version of punk theology through its rejection of creedal authority, promotion of radical inclusion, and commitment to justice, often functioning as a countercultural, anti-establishment force. So, when we sit in this sanctuary today, we aren't just practicing a polite religion. We are inheriting a legacy of dissent, a form of resistance, and a sea of theologies that claim certainty. We are stating, I'd rather be wrong on my own terms than right on yours. You are punk. I would be remiss if I did not mention First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, a place where there is no separation of church and punk, according to Temple University's newspaper. The church has hosted punk shows for decades in their Griffin Hall basement and is considered one of the premier punk venues in the city of brotherly shove. The church's superintendent, Matt Maselli, says that things can get messy and out of hand when you pack 400 punks into a space, but the church is at 100%. This support makes sense because it is not the first time that First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia has sheltered and influenced disturbers of the peace. There is a blue plaque on the exterior of the church this church on November 19th, 1950. Pastor Mordecai Johnson delivered a Gandhi-influenced sermon which inspired a young Martin Luther King Jr. to a life of nonviolent activism. In the sanctuary, above the basement where punk bands crank out the holy noise of dissent, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was transformed into the prophetic dissenter that we know today. I also see this same sacredness at Camp Punk Sylvania. James and I will return this summer to serve as punk chaplains again. James describes our role as caretakers, creating spaces that provide ceremony, connection, and sanctuary. We will be sounding boards for festival goers who want to voice their fears, anger, and frustrations. Immediately after voicing their thoughts and emotions, they will dive right back into the mosh pit to shove, bounce off each other, and pick the fallen up to the music of bands like Lower Class Brats, The Planet Smashers, Cheap Perfume, and Suburban Downgrade. They will heed the words of punk icon Henry Rollins, who said, "This is not a time to be dismayed. This is punk rock time. This is what Joe Strummer trained you for. It is now time to go." Amen.
All right, you punks. Please rise and bow your spirit to make your own noises of holy descent. I like that. We're going to sing The Tide is Rising. Here we go. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called. The storm is raging. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called One more, the world is ready. The world is ready. And so are we. The world is ready. And so are we. The world is ready. And so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Thank you. Please be seated.
Our Share the Plate beneficiary for the month of February is the local advocacy and support group Community Forge, a Pittsburgh-based organization whose mission is equitable community development for the 21st century that forges relationships, inspires creativity, and teaches the tools of the future. Their programming seeks to reach out and empower communities that do not receive equitable resources and investment to reach their highest potential. You can make a gift online on our website or by text at 412-324-3130. We'll be passing our offering baskets for cash and checks in just a moment. If you are writing a check, please make it out to UUCSH and put Share the Plate in the memo line. Thank you.
I was dreaming in my dreaming, well, of an aspect bright and fair. And my sleeping, it was broken, but my dream, it lingered near. In the form of shining valleys, where the pure air rarefied, and my senses newly opened, I awakened into the cry that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools upon the meek. The grace is shower, it's decreed, the people rule. The people have the power. The people have the power. Sing it out. The people have the power. Yeah. The people have the power. Believe it. Ooh. Vengeful aspects became suspect and bending low as if to hear. And the army ceased advancing because the people had their ear. And the shepherds and the soldiers, well, they laid beneath the stars, exchanging visions and laying arms to waste in the dust, in the form of shining valleys where the pure air rarefied, and my senses newly opened, I awakened to the cry. Sing it out! People have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. Where there were deserts, I saw fountains like cream. The waters rise, and we stroll there together with none to laugh or criticize. And the leopard and the lamb laid together, truly bound. I was hoping, in my hoping, to recall what I had found. Yeah, I was dreaming, in my dreaming, God knows, a pure view. As I surrender into my sleeping, I commit my dream to you. The people have the power to dream. People have the power to vote. People have the power to strike. People have the power to love. The people have the power to rule. Keep singing. People have the wrestle the world from fools. People have the power. The people rule. People have the power. The people rule. Listen, I believe everything we dream can come to pass through our union. We can turn the world around. We can turn the earth's revolution. We have the power. People have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh.
Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our closing was written by Deborah Hafner. As we enter another week of uncertainty in the world, let us remember that there is only one side, that of humanity and planet Earth. May we pray for peace. May we raise our voices with our elected officials and engage as we can in acts of resistance. And may we remember to take very good care of ourselves, each other, and those we love. May we remember these words adapted from the Unity Prayer. The light of love surrounds us. Love enfolds us. The power of love protects us. Love watches over us. Wherever we are, love is. Amen.